Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. It's been a surprisingly busy week for gaming news, and today has been no different. Square Enix just dropped their new digital event, Square Enix Presents, and there was some pretty cool stuff here revealed. We got a new teaser trailer for an upcoming PS5 console exclusive, and a new look at the next Life is Strange, and it's looking really good actually. Much better than what I thought it was going to, and they're taking that franchise into a direction that I think fans can get on board with. We also got an update for PSVR 2, and a massive JRPG might be coming to Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, this is a huge leak if this proves to be true. So stick around and we'll talk about all that and even more. We got a lot to go over today though, so let's get right into the news, starting off with Sea of Thieves. It's now Sea of Thieves' 3rd anniversary, and Rare posted an update on how well it's performed since launch, and check this out. Sea of Thieves has now reached more than 20 million players across Xbox and PC. The last update we got was 8 months ago, when it was at 15 million, so it added another 5 million since that point. That is absolutely incredible, and as we talked about last year, the addition of Steam on PC gave this game a big boost as it was a top-ranking game for a long period of time. But this just goes to show you the success Rare has had with Sea of Thieves. This game was originally criticized at launch due to a lack of content, but that's all a thing of the past now as they have continuously made this game better and better with more content and features. And the thing about this game is that it is completely unique. There's nothing that plays quite like it, and even though there are other ship-oriented games, nothing is as good as Sea of Thieves. This is just a stellar game, and because it's gotten so much better, the reviews just don't reflect on how good this game actually is. The players have really spoken though, as this game has proven to have its own community, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. If you haven't played this game yet though, you can go pick it up on Xbox, Xbox Game Pass, or on PC via Steam or the Windows Store. Next up, in a celebration for Tomb Raider's 25th anniversary, Square Enix shadow dropped a Tomb Raider Definitive Survival Trilogy bundle for just $20. It is on discount right now, though it will be $50 starting April 2nd. We talked about this about a week or two ago as it leaked out through the Xbox Store, but it's now official and for just $20. That is a fantastic price. It includes 22 pieces of DLC, so if you missed out on this game before, definitely go check that out. These are great games, honestly. However, I feel like Square Enix missed an opportunity here because, unfortunately, no next-generation features are mentioned with this trilogy. I think these games would have been the perfect games to have enhanced features for the Xbox Series and PS5. These games are very pretty, and if they could have made it look just a little bit better, I think a lot of people would have went back to revisit these games once again. Rise of the Tomb Raider, as an example, is capped at 30 frames per second while in 4K, and it would have been nice to see them uncap that frame rate at the very least. Nonetheless, it's still a great price for an excellent overall trilogy. Now, we also got an update for the next generation PlayStation VR headset for the PS5. As you all know, I do like VR a lot, and I think PlayStation is one of the best VR developers on the market right now. They don't really get a lot of credit for that, but games like Astrobot and Blood and Truth are really good first-party VR titles. Astrobot remains my favorite VR game alongside Half-Life Alyx. The problem with PlayStation VR in the past, though, has been with their controllers, as they didn't even design a new controller for their VR headset. Instead, you had to use the very outdated Move controllers that were made for the PlayStation 3. Those controllers were designed similar to the Wiimote, and they just weren't made with VR in mind. They don't even have analog sticks, so that just kind of tells you these were not designed for PlayStation VR. Luckily though, today they did reveal their new controllers for PSVR 2, and right away the first thing I noticed was the similarity with the Oculus Touch controllers, which is a good thing. Those controllers are very well designed with a tracking ring, and it allows you to be tracked by the VR headset and even use finger touch detection. These controllers seem to do the same thing here. An easy example for finger detection is by pressing a virtual button inside a game by pointing your index fingers. It's just an extra added layer of immersion. These controllers are far more exciting than just that though. It also includes adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. This is by far my absolute favorite thing about the PS5 DualSense controller, and they're bringing that over to the PSVR 2.0, and I think that will add a lot of immersion to VR games. This could be the next evolution in virtual reality controllers in my opinion. I'm really hyped up about that inclusion. Really so far though, I like what I'm seeing with this controller, and now we just need to wait and see what the headset's like. Right now, all we know is that it will only have one cord that you have to plug into your PS5. We will be doing away with external cameras, and that's a big step for PSVR as well. Moving on though, I have a quick update for the highly anticipated Nintendo Switch and PS4 JRPG. Yeah, that's right, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne's release date seems to be right around the corner. Atlus themselves did not announce this, but according to a Nintendo of Europe press release, it will be out on May 25th. This will further solidify the Nintendo Switch lineup in specific. That thing has had a great lineup of games for the first half of 2021, and if you do like JRPGs or Japanese games in general, it's got some excellent games for the first half of the year. Last month it got Bravely Default 2 and Persona 5 Strikers, and then it still has Monster Hunter Rise coming later this month, and then you also have Neo The World Ends With You coming sometime this year. We still don't have an official release date for that or Shin Megami Tensei 5, but it looks like it's going to be a big year for Japanese games on the Nintendo Switch. And let's not forget about Pokemon either. Of course, those games are huge. As for Nocturne though, it really is viewed as an all-time great within the genre, so it's good to hear it's right around the corner for both PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch. If nothing changes about this press release, it will be out on May 25th. As for you Xbox fans though, I know you all have been wanting Atlus to bring some of their games over to Xbox, or more specifically, Persona. Well, about that. There's actually a juicy rumor going around right now that Persona is making its way over to Xbox Game Pass. This is coming from the well-known insider Ed. He has leaked things in the past, and over on Twitter he mentioned that it seems like Yakuza isn't the only popular Sega franchise that Microsoft are trying to get on Xbox Game Pass. This was posted back in February, but he's now quoted that tweet with a Persona 5 image with the Xbox logo on it. So this has really kicked off the rumors that Persona is coming over to Xbox Game Pass. Now, we know Xbox has gotten several big Japanese games into Game Pass, including Yakuza, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Nier, and most recently, Octopath Traveler. That was a big surprise, so there might be something to this Persona rumor. Sega and Xbox has had a good relationship as of recent, and they could have convinced them to port some of their Persona games to Xbox by taking advantage of Xbox Game Pass, which seems to be a great way of launching these games for Japanese publishers. We also know for an absolute fact that Sega has looked into the idea of porting Persona games after having a lot of success with Persona 4 Golden on Steam. That apparently surprised Sega in how successful it was. It didn't really surprise the game community at all per se, but it did open up Sega's eyes, and they've put out surveys for Xbox and Nintendo fans on if they would like these games ported to their consoles as well. That's an easy yes, of course, but if Sega does bring Persona over to Xbox, it'll be interesting to see which games. Will it be Persona 5, or will they go back to games like Persona 4? I think Persona 4 has a real possibility of being ported, considering they already did that for Steam. Now, obviously Persona 5 is really popular and everything, but I wouldn't rule out other Persona games coming to Xbox. For me, I actually prefer 2, 3, and especially 4. 4 is by far my favorite in the franchise, but regardless, I would like to see all of these games come over to Xbox via Game Pass, including Persona 5. That would be huge for Xbox and its fans. I'd also like to see them come to the Switch for that matter. It's just absolutely baffling to me that Sega and Atlus hasn't ported these games yet, as it's easy money and a great way of expanding that franchise. Of course, it's just a rumor as of this moment though, but I guess I'll be like Atlus and Sega right now and ask you all the very obvious question: would you like Persona to be ported over to Xbox or even Nintendo for that matter? Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about that Square Enix event though, as they had several things to reveal here. I will leave a link to the full event if you want to check that out in the description. They did reveal some mobile games like Hitman Sniper Assassins, Space Invaders AR, Bubble Bobble for Friends, and Just Cause Mobile. They also talked about Avengers and some new content it's getting, including a Black Panther expansion. That actually looks pretty good if you're into the Avengers game. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily rule out that game having some kind of comeback. We saw Sea of Thieves manage to do that, so maybe the Avengers turns things around with more content and updates like this new expansion. The big reveals, though, were right at the end of the event. The next Life is Strange has officially been announced with a lengthy trailer, and it looks really good. The name is Life is Strange True Colors, developed by Deck 9. Deck 9 was the developer behind Before the Storm, so they have worked on this franchise in the past, and it looks like they're ready to take the next step with a completely new cast of characters and new paranormal abilities. Just like past games, you play as ordinary people, but the main character can detect emotions from other characters within the world. This is an interesting aspect that could lead into some emotional and engaging storylines about empathy. For that matter, the big mystery is around the death of the main character's brother, where it seems like there's something more that meets the eye. All I know is I'm excited to uncover that mystery when it releases on September 10th for PC, PlayStation consoles, Xbox consoles, and Google Stadia. And here's the really cool part about all this. The full game releases day one. They're doing away with episodic releases, and I view that as great news. Now, I'm not against episodic games per se by any stretch of the means, but I do prefer when a game is fully released rather than episodes. When done in episodes, I have a tendency of already moving on to the next game before the next episode even releases, and then I kind of forget about main plot points. That's why often I wait for the full game to be out, so I really like that they're just releasing the full game day one this time. And as a bonus for Life is Strange fans, they're also releasing a Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm compilation this fall with enhanced visuals. Yeah, lots of good things for Life is Strange today. They did, however, have one last teaser trailer though, and this one was for the PS5 console exclusive Project Athia. This is the next game developed by Luminous Studios, which is popular for their work on Final Fantasy 15. And truthfully, that game looks gorgeous to this day, but this time they're working on a new IP. We didn't get much details about this upcoming game, but they did give it a final name, Forspoken, and a brief cinematic trailer that revealed a launch window for 2022. It does seem like something is speaking to the protagonist of this game as she hides from a dragon. We did get some gameplay afterwards though, and I think this game looks incredible. It's a very fast-paced game using all kinds of powers, and this will be interesting to follow. I always like seeing new IP, but to see Square Enix drop a new AAA IP like this from a talented studio is something to behold. I know Final Fantasy 15 can be polarizing, but truthfully, I liked Final Fantasy 15 a lot, and I want to see what they can do with a completely new IP. If anything, I think it looks promising so far. Now I just kind of want to see more, and hopefully we get another gameplay reveal as the year goes on. Let's take a look at the poll of the day though, and yesterday we talked about Zelda Skyward Sword HD and how Nintendo claims it will have better motion controls this time. Of course, it also has the option of more standard controls, so it got me to thinking, do you all like motion controls or not? And this was a really close one with 44% of you saying no, whereas 43% of you said it depends. However, if we include the yes votes, the majority does like motion controls at least to an extent. And I do agree with this. I don't like the Wiimote or Kinect, however, motion controls in virtual reality is perfect. That's the best use I've seen for motion controls so far, but there are other aspects of motion controls that work well when done right. Some of you mentioned using gyro for shooters, and that's a good point. That does allow for added accuracy if you can get used to using gyro while aiming rather than just using analog sticks. If you can, it does help out with your accuracy. But yeah, I think in some ways motion controls can be a good thing. Again, I didn't necessarily like Kinect or Wiimote, but there are good uses of motion controls, and we have seen that over the years. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.